Hello my friend, welcome back to the Sleepy Professor channel. I'm glad to see you again. Tonight we're going to embark on a gentle journey through the ancient world of cats. There's something deeply calming about cats, isn't there? The way they move, silent and graceful with that effortless elegance. The way they rest, curled up in perfect contentment, teaching us the art of peaceful stillness. The way they just exist, independent and mysterious, asking nothing of us but offering companionship on their own terms. For the next little while, just relax, settle into your pillows, let your breathing slow, and let me tell you some wonderful things about these remarkable creatures that have walked alongside humans for thousands upon thousands of years. Close your eyes if you'd like. Get comfortable. There's nowhere you need to be, nothing you need to do. Just listen, and let these soothing stories about cats carry you gently towards sleep. Let's start with something that sounds almost magical, something that seems impossible. Cats chose us. That's right. Unlike most domesticated animals that humans deliberately tamed and bred for specific purposes, cats essentially domesticated themselves. About 10,000 years ago, when humans in the Fertile Crescent began settling down and farming, storing grain in large quantities, something happened. The grain stores attracted mice and rats, and the mice and rats attracted wild cats. These were small wild cats, ancestors of today's domestic cats, and they discovered that hanging around human settlements provided easy hunting. The humans, in turn, noticed that these cats were controlling the rodent population that threatened their food supplies. It was a mutually beneficial relationship that formed gradually, naturally, without force or coercion. The cats who were less fearful of humans, who could tolerate being near people, thrived in this new ecological niche. Over generations, these cats became tamer, more comfortable, around humans until eventually they were living in and around human homes, neither fully wild nor fully domesticated, but something in between. Even today, thousands of years later, cats retain more of their wild nature than most domestic animals. They can survive independently if needed. They hunt instinctively. They make their own decisions about when and how to interact with humans. In a very real sense, cats never fully surrendered their independence. They became our companions on their own terms. This happened primarily in the Near East, in the region known as the Fertile Crescent, which includes modern-day Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Israel, Palestine, Jordan, and parts of Turkey and Egypt. Archaeological evidence suggests that this relationship between humans and cats began around 7,500 BCE, possibly even earlier. The oldest known evidence of a cat living with humans comes from Cyprus, an island in the Mediterranean. About 9,500 years ago, someone was buried with a cat. The two laid to rest together in the same grave. The cat was deliberately placed there, carefully positioned near the human. This suggests that the relationship between this person and this cat was meaningful, that the cat was valued, perhaps even loved. Think about that for a moment. Nearly 10,000 years ago, someone cared enough about their cat to ensure it accompanied them into the afterlife. The bond between humans and cats is ancient, stretching back through countless generations, through the rise and fall of civilizations, through changes so vast we can barely imagine them. Yet through all that time, cats have remained essentially themselves, independent, graceful, mysterious creatures that choose to share our lives. The ancient Egyptians elevated the cat to an almost divine status. In Egyptian society, which flourished along the Nile River for over 3,000 years, cats were revered, protected by law, and associated with the divine. The goddess Bastet, one of the most important deities in the Egyptian pantheon, was depicted as a woman with the head of a cat, or sometimes simply as a cat. Bastet was the goddess of home, fertility, childbirth, women's secrets, and domestic harmony. She was also associated with music, dance, and joy. In her earlier forms, she was a fierce lioness goddess, but over time she became gentler, taking the form of a domestic cat, though she retained her protective nature. Cats in ancient Egypt were considered sacred animals. They were protected by law, and harming a cat, even accidentally, could result in severe punishment, even death. When a household cat died, the family would go into mourning, shaving their eyebrows as a sign of grief. Cats were mummified with the same care given to humans, wrapped in linen, sometimes placed in elaborate cat-shaped coffins made of bronze or wood. These mummified cats were often buried in special cat cemeteries, vast necropolises containing thousands upon thousands of cat mummies. In the late 19th century, archaeologists discovered one such cemetery near the city of Beni Hassan in Middle Egypt, containing an estimated 80,000 cat mummies. The Egyptians understood something about cats that still resonates today. They saw in cats a combination of grace and power, independence and affection, playfulness and dignity. Cats kept homes free of rodents and snakes, protecting food stores and preventing the spread of disease. But they were more than just useful animals. They were companions, sources of comfort and joy, creatures that made daily life more pleasant simply by their presence. Egyptian art frequently depicts cats in domestic scenes. Paintings on tomb walls show cats sitting beneath chairs, playing with birds, eating fish. These aren't formal, stylized religious images. They're snapshots of everyday life, suggesting that cats were integrated into Egyptian households much as they are in homes today. The Egyptians gave their cats names just as we do. Some of these names have survived in ancient texts: Nejim, meaning sweet or pleasant, Tarmu, meaning she-cat, and Mit, simply meaning cat. The Egyptian reverence for cats was so great that it may have affected military outcomes. The Greek historian Polyaenus recorded that in 525 BCE, during the Battle of Pelusium, the Persian king Cambyses II exploited Egyptian respect for cats. According to the account, the Persians placed cats and other sacred animals on their shields and drove cats before their advancing army, knowing that the Egyptians would be reluctant to fight back and risk harming the sacred creatures. Whether this story is entirely accurate or somewhat embellished, it reflects the well-known Egyptian attitude toward cats. Egypt tried to maintain a monopoly on cats for a long time. It was illegal to export cats from Egypt. But cats, being cats, didn't stay contained. Phoenician traders, who sailed throughout the Mediterranean, are believed to have smuggled cats out of Egypt and traded them in other ports. Cats spread gradually across the ancient world, travelling with merchants and sailors, moving from one civilization to another, adapting to new climates and new human cultures. By the time of ancient Greece and Rome, cats were present, but not as prominent as they had been in Egypt. The Greeks and Romans preferred dogs and ferrets for pest control. Cats were somewhat exotic, still associated with Egypt and the East. Greek and Roman writers mention cats occasionally, usually in passing. The Latin word for cat, felis, appears in various texts, though dogs, sheep, cattle, and horses receive far more attention in classical literature. This would change in the centuries to come, but during the classical period, cats remained relatively marginal in European society. However, cats were spreading eastward as well as westward. They travelled along trade routes to India, China, Japan, and throughout Asia. In each culture, they found a different reception, were integrated into different belief systems, were valued or feared for different reasons. But everywhere they went, they retained their essential nature. They hunted rodents, they maintained their independence, and they formed selective bonds with humans who treated them well. Let me tell you about cats in medieval Europe, because this is where the story becomes darker, more complex, and ultimately more interesting. During the Middle Ages, cats experienced both reverence and persecution, often simultaneously. In the early medieval period, cats were valued for their practical usefulness. Monasteries and convents kept cats to protect their libraries and food stores from mice and rats. There are records of monastic rules specifying that each monastery should have cats, acknowledging their importance in preserving valuable manuscripts and provisions. Monks and nuns sometimes developed close relationships with the cats in their care. There's a beautiful old Irish poem written in the 9th century by a monk celebrating his white cat named Pangur Ban. The poem draws a parallel between the monk's scholarly work and the cat's hunting, each engaged in their own focused pursuit. The monk hunting knowledge, the cat hunting mice. The poem is affectionate and admiring, recognizing the cat as a companion in the quiet, contemplative life of the monastery. But as the Middle Ages progressed, attitudes toward cats became more complicated and more sinister. Cats, with their nocturnal habits, their glowing eyes in darkness, their silent movement, and their independent nature, became associated with witchcraft and devil worship. This association intensified during periods of religious anxiety and persecution, particularly from the 12th century onward. Cats were sometimes accused of being witches' familiars, demonic spirits in animal form that assisted witches in their evil work. Black cats were especially suspect, though cats of any colour could be implicated. During the witch hunts that plagued Europe from the 15th through 17th centuries, cats were often killed alongside accused witches. Sometimes they were killed in large numbers as part of religious festivals or public celebrations, burned alive in bonfires, thrown from towers, subjected to various forms of cruelty that are difficult to contemplate. This persecution of cats was widespread in many parts of Europe, though it varied by region and time period. Some areas never participated in such practices, and individual attitudes always varied. Many people continued to value and care for their cats, even during periods of widespread persecution. Ironically, this persecution of cats may have contributed to one of the greatest catastrophes in European history, the Black Death. The bubonic plague, which swept through Europe in the mid-14th century, killing an estimated 1/3 to 1/2 of the European population, was carried by fleas living on rats. Cats, which naturally control rodent populations, had been killed in large numbers in many areas. Some historians have suggested that the reduced cat population allowed rat populations to flourish, facilitating the spread of the plague. It's difficult to prove this connection definitively, as the plague spread was influenced by many factors, but it's certainly plausible that the persecution of cats had unintended and devastating consequences. After the Black Death, attitudes toward cats slowly began to shift again. People recognized, perhaps more clearly than before, the value of cats in controlling rodents. By the Renaissance, cats were being rehabilitated in European culture. They began appearing more frequently in art, literature, and daily life. Leonardo da Vinci, who lived from 1452 to 1519, made numerous sketches of cats, capturing their fluid movement and graceful postures with the keen observational skill he applied to everything he studied. His drawings show cats stretching, playing, resting, fighting, each pose rendered with anatomical precision and clear affection for his subjects. Cats also began appearing in religious art during the Renaissance, though usually in the background or margins. There's a famous painting of the Last Supper by Ghirlandaio, created in 1480, that includes a cat sitting peacefully at the feet of the apostles. This would have been unthinkable a few centuries earlier, when cats were seen as demonic. The inclusion of a cat in such a sacred scene suggests a normalization of cats in Christian European society, a recognition that cats were ordinary domestic animals rather than instruments of darkness. Let me tell you about cats in Asia, because their story there follows different trajectories, shaped by different cultural values and beliefs. In Japan, cats were introduced around the 6th century CE, probably brought from China or Korea. They were initially rare and valuable, kept by aristocrats and in Buddhist temples. Temple cats protected sacred Buddhist scriptures from mice and rats. The cats were valued and well cared for, and stories about temple cats became part of Japanese folklore. One famous legend tells of a cat who saved a temple from financial ruin. A poor temple priest shared his meager food with his cat. One day, a wealthy feudal lord was caught in a storm and took shelter under a tree near the temple. He saw the temple cat sitting near the temple gate, raising one paw as if beckoning. Curious, the lord approached the cat. Just as he left the shelter of the tree, lightning struck it. The cat had saved his life by calling him away. Grateful, the lord became a patron of the temple, ensuring its prosperity. This legend is the origin of the maneki neko, the beckoning cat figurines you see in Japanese businesses today, with one paw raised in welcome, said to bring good fortune. Japanese culture developed a complex relationship with cats. They were admired for their beauty and grace, featured in poetry, painting, and literature. But they were also sometimes feared. Folklore spoke of bakaniko, supernatural cats that could shapeshift into human form, walk on their hind legs, speak human language, and sometimes cause mischief or harm. Old cats who had lived for many years were particularly likely to develop supernatural powers according to these beliefs. Despite these fears, or perhaps because of the cultural richness they added, cats remained popular in Japan. The Japanese artist Utagawa Kunyoshi, who lived from 1798 to 1861, was famous for his cat obsession. He filled his studio with cats, sometimes having up to a dozen at a time. They appeared constantly in his artwork, both as subjects of portraits and as characters in his narrative prints. His cats have personality and individuality, depicted with obvious affection and close observation. Kunyoshi's funeral procession reportedly included a number of cats, a testament to his well-known love for them. In China, cats have been present for thousands of years, though their history there is less well documented than in Egypt or Europe. Archaeological evidence suggests cats were in China at least 5,000 years ago, and possibly much earlier. the Chinese valued cats for rodent control, particularly in protecting silkworm cocoons and agricultural stores. Cats appear in Chinese art and literature, though less prominently than some other animals like dragons, phoenixes, or tigers that carry heavier symbolic weight in Chinese culture. Chinese folklore includes stories of cat spirits and supernatural cats, similar to Japanese bakaneko. But there are also more positive associations. Cats were sometimes seen as creatures of mystery and meditation, valued for their calm, contemplative presence. The Chinese philosopher Confucius is said to have kept a cat, though the historical evidence for this is unclear. Whether or not Confucius actually had a cat, the story suggests that by the time this tradition developed, cats were seen as appropriate companions for scholars and thinkers. In Islamic cultures, cats have generally been viewed positively. There's a tradition that the Prophet Muhammad loved cats and treated them with great kindness. One famous story tells that Muhammad once cut off the sleeve of his robe rather than disturb his cat Mueza, who had fallen asleep on it. Whether historically accurate or not, this story has influenced Islamic attitudes toward cats for centuries. Cats are considered clean animals in Islamic law, unlike dogs, and are welcome in mosques and homes. The respect for cats in Islamic culture helped ensure their welfare in Muslim societies throughout history. Now let's talk about cats coming to the Americas, because this is a story of exploration, colonization, and ecological impact. Cats were not native to the Americas. There were large wild cats like jaguars, pumas, and bobcats, but no small wild cats that could have been domesticated. Domestic cats arrived in the Americas with European explorers and colonists beginning in the late 15th and early 16th centuries. Christopher Columbus is believed to have carried cats on his ships during his voyages to the New World. Ships always carried cats to control the rat populations on board. Rats were a serious problem on sailing ships, eating food stores, chewing through ropes and wood, spreading disease. Cats earned their keep on ships, and ship's cats became a maritime tradition that continued well into the 20th century. Some ship's cats became famous, celebrated in naval records and sailors' tales for their mousing prowess or their survival of remarkable adventures. As European settlements spread through North and South America, cats spread with them. They were useful on farms and in frontier settlements, controlling rodents that threatened crops and food stores. Cats adapted well to the diverse climates of the Americas, from the cold winters of New England to the tropical heat of the Caribbean. They also quickly established feral populations in many areas, cats that had gone wild or were descended from domestic cats but now lived independently of humans. The introduction of cats to island ecosystems had particularly dramatic effects. On many islands, the native birds and small mammals had evolved without ground predators and had no defences against cats. Feral cat populations on some islands contributed to the extinction or severe decline of native species. This is a reminder that the relationship between humans, cats, and the broader ecosystem is complex. The same qualities that make cats valuable to humans as rodent controllers, their hunting skill, their adaptability, their ability to survive independently, can make them ecologically problematic in environments where the native wildlife didn't evolve alongside feline predators. Let me tell you about the Victorian era, because this is when cats truly came into their own in European and American culture. The 19th century saw a dramatic shift in how cats were perceived and treated, particularly in Britain. Queen Victoria, who reigned from 1837 to 1901, was known to be fond of cats. She kept several cats, including a Persian named White Heather. The Queen's affection for cats helped make them fashionable among the upper and middle classes. The Victorian era was when cat fancy began, the practice of breeding cats for specific aesthetic traits and exhibiting them in shows. The first modern cat show was held at the Crystal Palace in London in 1871, organised by Harrison Weir, an artist and cat enthusiast. The show featured cats of various breeds and types, judged on their appearance and conformity to breed standards. It was tremendously popular, attracting thousands of visitors and sparking widespread interest in pedigreed cats. Before this time, most cats were simply cats, allowed to breed randomly, valued for their mousing ability or companionship, but not subjected to selective breeding for appearance. The cat fancy movement changed this, creating distinct breeds with defined characteristics. Persian cats, with their long, luxurious coats and flat faces, Siamese cats with their distinctive colouring and vocal nature, British Shorthairs, sturdy and round-faced, Russian Blues, with their silvery coats and green eyes. Over the following decades, many breeds were developed or refined through selective breeding. This focus on breeding had both positive and negative consequences. On the positive side, it reflected a growing appreciation for cats as companions, and not merely utilitarian rodent catchers. It elevated cats in social status, making them appropriate pets for refined households. It also created communities of cat enthusiasts who shared knowledge about cat care, behaviour, and health, leading to improvements in how cats were treated. On the negative side, selective breeding for extreme physical traits has sometimes compromised cat health and welfare. Breeding for extremely flat faces in Persians can cause breathing problems. Breeding for hairlessness in Sphinx cats removes the natural protection of a coat. Breeding for folded ears in Scottish folds is caused by a cartilage defect that can lead to painful joint problems. These issues remind us that our aesthetic preferences can conflict with animal welfare, and that we have a responsibility to prioritise the health and well-being of the animals we've taken into our care. The Victorian era also saw cats becoming more prominent in literature and popular culture. Lewis Carroll's Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, published in 1865, features the Cheshire Cat, one of the most memorable characters in all of literature. The Cheshire Cat is mysterious, philosophical, and prone to disappearing, leaving only its enigmatic grin floating in the air. It's a very cat-like character, capturing something essential about cats' inscrutability and independence. Edward Lear, known for his nonsense poetry, wrote The Owl and the Pussycat in 1871, a whimsical poem about an unlikely pair sailing away, together in a pea-green boat. The poem is gentle and dreamlike, perfect for bedtime, and it helped cement the image of the cat as a romantic, adventurous figure. Charles Dickens kept cats and wrote about them in his letters and occasionally in his fiction, depicting them as integral parts of domestic life. Children's literature began featuring cats more prominently during this period. Cats were ideal characters for children's stories, small enough not to be threatening, familiar from home, yet with enough personality and independence to drive a narrative. Beatrix Potter's The Tale of Tom Kitten, published in 1907 just after the Victorian era ended, is a charming story about a mischievous kitten who loses his clothes, illustrated with Potter's delicate, detailed watercolours. As the 19th century progressed, cats became increasingly urbanized. In earlier centuries, cats had been primarily rural animals, living on farms and in villages. But as industrialization drew people to cities, cats came too. They thrived in urban environments, hunting rats in alleys and basements, finding shelter in stables and warehouses, and increasingly being kept as indoor pets in apartments and townhouses. The development of commercial cat food in the late 19th and early 20th centuries further changed the relationship between humans and cats. Before this, cats largely fed themselves by hunting, supplemented by table scraps. James Spratt, an American living in London, created one of the first commercial pet foods in the 1860s, initially for dogs but eventually expanding to cats. By the early 20th century, canned cat food was available, providing a convenient way to feed cats without relying on their hunting or preparing food scraps. This made it more practical to keep cats indoors full time, which became increasingly common in the 20th century. Let me tell you about cats in the early 20th century, because this period saw both world wars and tremendous social change, and cats were part of that story. During World War I, cats served in the trenches alongside soldiers. They controlled rat populations in the miserable conditions of trench warfare, where rats thrived on the corpses and food scraps. Soldiers adopted cats as mascots and companions, finding comfort in their presence amid the horror of war. Photographs from the period show soldiers holding cats, cats sitting on soldiers' laps, cats curled up in dugouts. These images are poignant reminders of the human need for connection and gentleness, even in the most brutal circumstances. Cats also served on ships during both world wars, continuing the long maritime tradition. Ship's cats were considered good luck by sailors, and many naval vessels had official or unofficial feline crew members. One famous ship's cat was Unsinkable Sam, who survived the sinking of 3 different ships during World War II: the German battleship Bismarck, the British destroyer HMS Cossack, and the aircraft carrier HMS Ark Royal. Whether this story is entirely accurate or somewhat embellished over time, it reflects the strong maritime tradition of ship's cats and the affection sailors felt for them. The interwar period and mid-20th century saw cats becoming even more thoroughly integrated into domestic life, particularly in Western countries. Cat ownership increased steadily. Improvements in veterinary medicine meant cats lived longer, healthier lives. The development of cat litter in 1947 by Edward Lowe was a major innovation that made indoor cat keeping much more practical. Before cat litter, indoor cats posed a hygiene challenge. They might be trained to use boxes filled with sand or ashes, but these were messy and odorous. Lowe's cat litter, made from clay, absorbed moisture and odour much more effectively. This simple invention removed one of the main barriers to keeping cats exclusively indoors. By the 1950s and 60s, cats were thoroughly domesticated in the modern sense, living in homes, sleeping on furniture, being treated as family members. Cat food had become a significant industry, with multiple brands competing for market share. Veterinary care for cats had advanced considerably, with vaccines, surgical procedures, and treatments that extended and improved cats' lives. The life expectancy of indoor cats increased dramatically over the course of the 20th century, from just a few years to 15 or 20 years or more. Cats also began appearing regularly in television and film. Felix the Cat, created in the silent film era and revived for television in the 1950s, was one of the first cartoon characters to become truly iconic. Tom from Tom and Jerry, the MGM cartoon series that began in 1940, was watched by millions. These cartoon cats were anthropomorphized, speaking and behaving like humans, but they retained certain feline characteristics: grace, cunning, independence, a tendency to get into trouble. The 1960s counterculture embraced cats as symbols of independence and nonconformity. Cats, unlike dogs, don't obey commands or seek to please humans in conventional ways. They do what they want, when they want. This resonated with a generation questioning authority and traditional values. The image of a cat as a cool, independent, somewhat mysterious creature aligned well with countercultural ideals. Let me tell you about cats in the late 20th and early 21st centuries, because this is the period that led to our current relationship with cats. The last few decades have seen cats become extraordinarily popular as pets, in many countries now outnumbering dogs. In the United States, there are approximately 90 million pet cats compared to about 80 million pet dogs. In the United Kingdom, cats are the most popular pet, present in about 24% of households. Several factors contribute to cats' popularity in modern times. They're well suited to apartment living and urban environments. They don't need to be walked or let outside. They're relatively quiet. They're independent enough to tolerate being left alone while their owners work. These qualities make cats ideal companions for people with busy modern lifestyles. At the same time, cats provide companionship, affection, and the psychological benefits that come from caring for another living being. The rise of the internet in the 1990s and 2000s created a whole new dimension to cat culture. Cats became internet celebrities, with certain individual cats gaining millions of followers online. Maru, a Scottish fold cat from Japan who loves boxes, has videos that have been viewed hundreds of millions of times. Grumpy Cat, whose real name was Tartar Sauce, became one of the most recognizable cats in the world due to her distinctive frowning expression caused by feline dwarfism. Lil Bub, another cat with distinctive features due to genetic conditions, became an internet sensation, an advocate for special needs pets. The phenomenon of cat videos, cat memes, and cat content in general has become a defining feature of internet culture. Why do people love watching cats online? Researchers have actually studied this question. It appears that viewing cat content produces positive emotions, reduces stress, and provides a brief respite from the demands of daily life. Cats' behavior is entertaining. They're playful, they do unexpected things, they get themselves into absurd situations. Watching a cat play with a box or chase a laser pointer is simple, wholesome entertainment that requires no thought or emotional investment. In a complex, often stressful world, this simplicity is appealing. The internet has also facilitated communities of cat lovers who share information, advice, and stories about their cats. Online forums, social media groups, and websites dedicated to cats have created networks of people who might never meet in person, but are connected by their shared affection for cats. This has practical benefits, as people can get advice about cat care, behavior, or health issues from experienced cat owners. It also has social benefits, creating communities based on shared interests and values. Modern veterinary medicine has continued to advance, and cats benefit significantly from this. Conditions that would have been untreatable a few decades ago can now be managed or cured. Chronic kidney disease, one of the most common causes of death in older cats, can be managed with diet and medication, extending cats' lives by years. Hypothyroidism can be treated, diabetes can be controlled. Dental care, once largely neglected in cats, is now recognized as important for overall health. Routine vaccination has made once common diseases rare. There's also been growing recognition of cats' behavioral and emotional needs. Early attitudes toward cats often emphasized their independence and low-maintenance nature. But research has shown that cats are social creatures with complex emotional lives. They form strong attachments to their human companions. They can experience stress, anxiety, and depression. They need mental stimulation and environmental enrichment. Understanding this has led to improvements in how cats are housed and cared for, with more attention to providing toys, climbing structures, hiding places, and interactive play. The modern cat rescue movement has also grown significantly. Animal shelters and rescue organizations work to find homes for stray, abandoned, and surrendered cats. Trap-neuter-return programs humanely manage feral cat populations by sterilizing cats and returning them to their territories, preventing reproduction while allowing the cats to live out their lives. This approach is generally more effective and humane than attempting to eradicate feral cats through removal or killing, which often fails because new cats simply move into the vacated territory. Let me tell you about the bond between humans and cats, because despite all the history and cultural context, the relationship ultimately comes down to the connection between individual people and individual cats. Every cat owner has stories about their particular cat, its personality, its quirks, the moments of connection and companionship. These individual relationships are what give meaning to the broader story of cats and humans. Cats provide companionship without the demands that some other pets require. They are content to simply be present, sitting near you while you read or work, sleeping on the bed at night, greeting you when you come home. This low-key companionship is valuable, particularly for people who live alone. Studies have shown that cat owners tend to feel less lonely than people without pets, even though cats don't require the same level of active engagement as dogs. Cats also provide structure and routine. You need to feed them, clean their litter, provide fresh water. These daily tasks give shape to the day, create small moments of interaction and care. For people who are depressed, anxious, or isolated, these routines can be grounding, providing reasons to get up and move and engage with the world, even in small ways. The physical act of petting a cat has measurable psychological benefits. It lowers blood pressure, reduces stress hormones, and triggers the release of oxytocin, sometimes called the bonding hormone. The rhythmic motion of stroking a cat's soft fur, the warmth of the cat's body, the sound of purring, all of these create a meditative, calming experience. This is why therapy cats are used in hospitals, nursing homes, and other settings where people might be stressed, ill, or lonely. Cats purring itself is fascinating. They purr when they're content, but also sometimes when they're stressed or in pain, leading researchers to believe purring serves multiple functions. One theory is that purring has healing properties. The frequency of a cat's purr, typically between 25 and 50 Hz, is within a range that's been shown to promote bone density and healing. Cats may purr to soothe themselves when injured or unwell. If this is true, then lying next to a purring cat might have subtle healing benefits for humans as well, though this remains speculative. The mysterious nature of cats is part of their appeal. Unlike dogs, who are generally easy to read and eager to please, cats are more subtle. You have to learn to read their body language, understand their individual personalities, respect their boundaries. This creates a different kind of relationship, one based more on mutual respect and less on hierarchy. Your cat is not your subordinate. Your cat is your housemate, your companion, a creature with its own agenda who chooses to spend time with you. Many people report that their cats seem to sense when they're upset and will come to comfort them, sitting close or purring or gently headbutting their hand. While cats don't have the same attunement to human emotions that dogs have developed through thousands of years of close cooperation, they do pick up on changes in their human companions' behavior and routine. Whether they're motivated by empathy or simply by the recognition that something is different and requires investigation, the result is the same. The cat provides comfort at a moment when it's needed. Let me tell you about the diversity of cats today, because after thousands of years of living with humans, cats have diversified into many different breeds and types, yet they remain recognizably the same animal. The Cat Fanciers Association, one of the major cat registry organizations, recognizes about 45 breeds. TICSA, the International Cat Association, recognizes about 70. These breeds range from the hairless Sphinx to the extremely fluffy Persian, from the tiny Singapura to the large Maine Coon, from the wild-looking Bengal to the teddy bear-like British Shorthair. Each breed has its own history and characteristics. Maine Coons, one of the largest domestic cat breeds, originated in the northeastern United States, probably developed from long-haired cats brought by sailors. They're adapted to cold climates with their thick, water-resistant coats, tufted ears and paws, and bushy tails. They can weigh up to 25 pounds and are known for their gentle, friendly temperament, despite their imposing size. Siamese cats originated in Thailand, formerly Siam, and were brought to the West in the late 19th century. They're known for their distinctive colouring, with pale bodies and darker points on the face, ears, paws and tail. They're also known for being vocal, social and demanding of attention. Russian blues are believed to have originated in the port of Arkhangelsk in Russia and were brought to other countries by sailors. They have striking silvery blue coats and bright green eyes, and they're known for being quiet and somewhat reserved. The Bengal breed is more recent, developed in the 1960s and 70s by crossing domestic cats with Asian leopard cats, a small wild cat species. The goal was to create a domestic cat with the exotic appearance of a wild cat. Bengals have distinctive spotted or marbled coats that resemble leopard or jaguar markings. They're athletic, playful, and energetic. The creation of Bengal cats and similar hybrid breeds has been controversial, raising questions about whether it's ethical to breed domestic cats with wild species and whether the welfare of these hybrid cats is adequately considered. Despite the existence of all these breeds, the vast majority of cats worldwide are domestic short hairs or long hairs, mixed breed cats without pedigrees. These are the cats in shelters, the strays being fed by kind neighbours, the barn cats and alley cats. They're genetically diverse, coming in endless variations of colours, patterns and personalities. They're the descendants of those original Near Eastern wildcats who chose to live near human settlements 10,000 years ago, shaped by chance and circumstance rather than deliberate breeding. There's something democratic and egalitarian about this. You don't need a pedigreed cat to experience the joy of living with a cat. A mixed-breed shelter cat can provide just as much companionship, entertainment, and affection as a purebred show cat costing thousands of dollars. In fact, mixed-breed cats often have fewer health problems than purebreds, as they benefit from genetic diversity rather than the inbreeding that occurs in purebred populations. Let me tell you about cats' remarkable physical abilities, because understanding what cats can do helps us appreciate their evolutionary history and their success as both wild predators and domestic companions. Cats are obligate carnivores, meaning they must eat meat to survive. Their entire physiology is adapted for hunting. Their teeth are designed for killing prey and shearing meat, not for grinding vegetation. Their digestive systems are short and simple, efficient at processing meat, but unable to extract nutrients from plant material the way omnivores can. Cats have exceptional vision, particularly in low light. Their eyes have a high concentration of rod cells, which detect light and motion. They also have a reflective layer behind the retina called the tapetum lucidum, which reflects light back through the retina, essentially giving the photoreceptor cells a second chance to detect the light. This is what causes cats' eyes to glow when light hits them in the dark. Cats can see in light levels 6 times lower than what humans need, though they can't see in complete darkness, and their color vision is limited compared to humans. Their hearing is extraordinary. Cats can hear sounds up to 64 kilohertz, compared to humans' upper limit of about 20 kilohertz. This allows them to hear the ultrasonic vocalizations of rodents, their natural prey. Their ears can rotate independently like radar dishes, pinpointing the exact location of a sound. Watch a cat when it hears something interesting. Its ears swivel toward the sound while its head remains still, triangulating the source. Cats' whiskers are highly sensitive tactile organs. They're not just hairs, but specialized sensory structures called vibrissae, rooted deep in the skin and connected to the nervous system. Whiskers detect air currents and vibrations, helping cats navigate in darkness and tight spaces. The whiskers on a cat's face are roughly as wide as its body, helping the cat determine if it can fit through an opening. Cats also have whiskers above their eyes, on their chin, and on the backs of their front legs. These provide constant sensory information about the cat's immediate environment. Cats are remarkably flexible. They have more bones than humans, about 230 compared to our 206, and many of these are small, flexible bones in the spine. They have no collarbone, or more precisely, their collarbone is free-floating and not attached to other bones, which allows them to squeeze through any space their head can fit through. They can rotate their spine to a degree that would be impossible for most mammals. This flexibility, combined with powerful muscles, allows cats to twist in mid-air, which is why they usually land on their feet when they fall. The writing reflects cats' ability to orient themselves in mid-air and land on their feet is fascinating. When a cat begins to fall, sensory organs in its inner ear detect the lack of balance. The cat rotates its head until it's upright, then twists its spine to align the rest of its body, extends its legs, arches its back to reduce impact, and lands on its feet. This happens in a fraction of a second and requires the cat to fall at least a foot or two to have time to complete the maneuver. Kittens develop this ability by about 7 weeks of age. Interestingly, Cats falling from greater heights sometimes suffer fewer injuries than cats falling from moderate heights. This counterintuitive finding is called high-rise syndrome. The explanation is that cats falling from very high reach terminal velocity and then relax, spreading their bodies like a parachute, which slows their fall and distributes impact forces. Cats falling from shorter distances don't have time to reach this stage. However, this doesn't mean falls from great heights are safe. Many cats are severely injured or killed by falls, and cats should be prevented from accessing high windows or balconies in urban buildings. Cats are excellent jumpers. They can jump up to 6 times their body length horizontally and up to 5 feet vertically from a standing position. Their powerful hind leg muscles provide the propulsion. When preparing to jump, a cat will often wiggle its rear end, which may help it calibrate the jump or simply be an outlet for the tension of coiling its muscles. Scientists aren't entirely sure, but the wiggle is nearly universal among cats preparing to pounce. Their claws are retractable, kept sheathed when walking to keep them sharp and extended when needed for hunting, climbing, or defense. This is different from dogs, whose claws are always extended and become dull from constant contact with the ground. Cats' retractable claws stay razor sharp, ready to grab prey or climb trees. The downside is that cats sometimes get stuck in trees. They can climb up easily, with their claws hooking into the bark, but coming down is more difficult because their claws curve the wrong way. Eventually, most cats figure out how to descend backward or by jumping, but occasionally a cat gets stranded and needs help. Let me tell you about cat behavior and what it tells us about their inner lives. Cats are often described as aloof or indifferent, but this isn't really accurate. They're independent, yes, and they don't seek approval or try to please humans the way dogs do. But they form strong social bonds and demonstrate affection in their own ways. A cat rubbing against your legs is marking you with scent glands on its face and body, claiming you as part of its social group. A cat bringing you a dead mouse is sharing its successful hunt with you, treating you as a family member. A cat slowly blinking at you is expressing trust and affection, essentially a cat kiss. Cats communicate extensively through body language and vocalizations. A tail held high indicates confidence and friendliness. A puffed tail indicates fear or aggression. Ears forward show interest. Ears flattened back show fear or hostility. A cat lying on its back exposing its belly is showing trust, though this doesn't necessarily mean it wants its belly rubbed. Many cats will grab your hand if you try. Kneading, where a cat pushes its paws alternately against a soft surface, is a behavior left over from kittenhood. When kittens knead their mother's belly to stimulate milk flow, adult cats knead when they're content and comfortable, often while purring. Cats vocalize much more with humans than with other cats. Adult cats rarely meow at each other. Meowing is primarily a way of communicating with humans. Kittens meow to their mothers, and domestic cats essentially remain in a perpetual kitten-to-mother relationship with their human caretakers. Each cat develops a unique vocabulary with its owner, with specific meows meaning specific things. I'm hungry, let me out. Pay attention to me. Owners often report that they can distinguish their cat's different meows and understand what the cat wants. The hissing sound cats make when frightened or aggressive is universal among cats, from domestic house cats to lions and tigers. It's thought to be a form of mimicry, imitating the sound of a snake, which is a threat that many predators instinctively avoid. A hissing cat is trying to appear dangerous and unpredictable, discouraging attack or approach. The related spitting sound is even more emphatic. Chattering, that peculiar sound cats sometimes make when watching birds through a window, is mysterious. Theories include that it's frustration at not being able to reach the prey, a hunting instinct where the cat is practicing the killing, bite, or an attempt to mimic bird sounds. Researchers aren't certain, but it's a common behavior that many cat owners have observed. Cats' relationships with each other are complex. In feral cat colonies, related females often live together cooperatively, raising kittens communally and sharing hunting territories. Male cats are more solitary, though they establish hierarchies and territories through scent marking and occasional fights. When introducing cats in a household, success depends on proper, gradual introduction, allowing the cats to become familiar with each other's scents before face-to-face meetings, providing enough resources, litter boxes, food, water, resting places, to prevent competition and giving them time to establish their relationship. Some cats form close friendships, grooming each other, sleeping together, playing together. Others simply tolerate each other, staying out of each other's way. And some never get along, experiencing ongoing stress from sharing space. Understanding cat social dynamics helps create harmonious multi-cat households. Let me tell you about cats in contemporary culture, because they've become deeply embedded in how we express ourselves and understand the world. Cats appear in advertising, using their appeal to sell products ranging from cat food to cars. The image of a cat conveys different things depending on context: independence, grace, mystery, playfulness, luxury, comfort. Advertisers use these associations strategically. Cats feature prominently in children's media. Dr. Seuss's The Cat in the Hat is one of the most famous children's books of all time, with its mischievous, chaotic cat who brings both disorder and joy. Disney has created numerous memorable animated cats, from the Cheshire Cat in Alice in Wonderland to the aristocratic felines in The Aristocats, to Figaro, Geppetto's cat in Pinocchio. These characters introduce children to cats as entertaining, unpredictable, often noble creatures. In adult literature and film, cats often play symbolic roles. In horror, they're associated with witches and the supernatural, playing on old superstitions. In mysteries, they're observant, noticing details humans miss. In cozy domestic stories, they represent comfort and home. The significance of cats in human culture is such that they've become shorthand for certain ideas and qualities, understood across cultural boundaries. The phrase cat person versus dog person has become a cultural touchstone, a quick way of signaling something about your personality. Cat people are stereotyped as more introverted, independent, and creative, while dog people are seen as more extroverted, energetic, and conventional. These stereotypes are overblown and often inaccurate, but they persist because they tap into real differences in how cats and dogs relate to humans and what different people value in a pet relationship. Social media has amplified cat culture exponentially. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and other platforms are filled with cat content. Professional pet influencers manage social media accounts for photogenic or charismatic cats, sometimes earning substantial income from advertising and sponsorships. This represents a new form of human-cat relationship, where the cat becomes not just a companion, but a public figure, a brand, a source of income. It's a strange development, far removed from cats' origins as wild hunters in the Near East, yet continuous with the long history of humans finding value and meaning in their relationships with cats. Let me tell you about cats and science, because studying cats has revealed interesting things about animal cognition, behavior, and evolution. For many years, cats were less studied than dogs, partly because they're harder to train and less motivated to participate in experiments. But in recent decades, researchers have paid more attention to cats, and we've learned a great deal. Cats are intelligent, though their intelligence expresses itself differently than dogs. They're excellent problem solvers when motivated. Studies have shown that cats can understand cause and effect, can use observational learning to figure out how to open doors or access food, and can remember solutions to problems for extended periods. They have object permanence, understanding that objects continue to exist even when out of sight. They can distinguish between different quantities, though not as precisely as some other animals. One study found that cats recognize their own names, responding differently when they hear their name compared to other words. This seems obvious to cat owners, but it's scientifically significant because it demonstrates that cats process human language to some degree and assign meaning to specific sounds. Whether they choose to respond when called is another matter. Cats have a reputation for ignoring their owners, but research suggests they hear and understand. They just don't always feel obligated to comply. Cats' relationships with humans show interesting patterns. Cats form secure or insecure attachments to their owners, similar to how children bond with parents. Securely attached, cats use their owner as a secure base, feeling comfortable exploring when the owner is present but seeking proximity when stressed. Insecurely attached cats may be clingy or avoidant. The attachment style seems to be influenced by early experiences and by the owner's behavior toward the cat. Interestingly, cats are sensitive to human emotions and behavior. They alter their behavior based on their owner's mood and attention. A cat whose owner is ignoring it will approach more than a cat whose owner is actively engaging with it, suggesting cats understand when they're being ignored and find it noteworthy. Cats also show social referencing, looking to their owner's reaction to determine how to respond to a novel or ambiguous situation. Genetic studies have revealed that domestic cats still share 95% of their genome with African wildcats, their closest wild relatives. This genetic similarity reflects the relatively short time, in evolutionary terms, that cats have been living with humans. For comparison, dogs share about 94% of their genome with wolves, despite having diverged earlier and having been subjected to more intensive selective breeding. Cats have changed less than dogs in their journey from wild to domestic, retaining more of their ancestral behavior and characteristics. This genetic closeness to wild ancestors is part of why cats can survive if they become feral, reverting to a wild lifestyle relatively easily. It's also why cats retain strong hunting instincts even when well fed. A cat doesn't hunt primarily because it's hungry. It hunts because hunting is intrinsically rewarding, activating neural pathways shaped by millions of years of evolution. This is why indoor cats need play that mimics hunting, pouncing on toys, stalking feather wands. They need to express these instincts even in a safe domestic environment. Let me tell you about the future of cats, or at least what we might imagine it could be. Cats have adapted to living with humans while retaining their independence and essential nature. As human society continues to change, cats will likely continue adapting. Urbanization might lead to more cats living exclusively indoors, which has implications for their welfare and for how we design living spaces. The recognition that indoor cats need environmental enrichment, vertical space, places to hide, and opportunities for natural behaviours will hopefully shape how apartments and homes are designed in the future. Technology is beginning to intersect with cat care in interesting ways. Automated feeders, self-cleaning litter boxes, cat cameras that allow owners to check on their cats remotely, even toys that move and respond to the cat's actions through sensors and programming. These technologies can improve cats' lives when used thoughtfully, but they can't replace human interaction and attention. A cat needs engagement, play, affection from its human companions, not just technological gadgets. There's growing interest in cat cafes, establishments where people can have coffee and snacks while interacting with cats. These originated in Taiwan in 1998 and have spread worldwide. Many cat cafes work with rescue organizations, housing adoptable cats and helping them find homes. The cafe provides socialization for the cats and allows potential adopters to interact with them in a relaxed setting. It's a creative solution that serves multiple purposes, providing a unique experience for customers, generating revenue, socializing shelter cats, and facilitating adoptions. Advances in veterinary medicine will likely continue extending cats' lifespans and improving their quality of life. Gene therapy, regenerative medicine, more sophisticated diagnostics, better understanding of feline-specific diseases, all of these areas are advancing. As our understanding of cat cognition and behavior deepens, we'll hopefully develop better ways to meet their psychological needs, reducing stress and improving welfare for both pet cats and community cats. The question of how to humanely manage feral and stray cat populations will continue to be important. These cats exist at the intersection of the domestic and the wild, neither fully one nor the other. They need food, water, shelter, and medical care, but they're not socialized to humans and can't be adopted as pets. Trap-neuter return programs represent the current best practice, but they require resources, community support, and sustained effort. Some communities are developing working cat programs, placing feral cats in barns, warehouses, and other settings where they can live semi-wild lives while providing rodent control, a role cats have filled for thousands of years. Climate change will affect cats as it affects all life on Earth. Changes in disease patterns might introduce new feline diseases or alter the distribution of existing ones. Changes in ecosystem dynamics might affect feral cat populations and their impact on wildlife. Human responses to climate change, including mass migrations and changes in how we live, will inevitably affect cats as well. But cats are adaptable creatures, as their 10,000-year history with humans demonstrates. They've survived and thrived through dramatic changes in human society. They'll likely continue to do so. Now, as you lie here, comfortable and relaxed, let your mind wander through all these stories about cats. Imagine those first wild cats, cautious and independent, choosing to come near human settlements because the hunting was good. Imagine them gradually becoming tamer, generation by generation, until they were living alongside humans, neither fully wild nor fully domesticated, but something uniquely their own. Imagine the cats of ancient Egypt, honoured and cherished, mummified and mourned there, images painted on tomb walls to last for eternity. Imagine the cats on medieval ships, hunting rats in the darkness below decks, their presence considered good luck by sailors who knew the value of their skill. Imagine the countless cats throughout history who have lived quietly alongside humans in cottages and palaces, on farms and in cities, each one living its own small life, hunting and sleeping and purring and being itself. Think about the cats you've known in your own life. Maybe you have a cat now, sleeping somewhere in your home, curled up in that impossibly tight circle cats achieve, completely relaxed and at peace. Maybe you remember a cat from childhood, a friend who was always there, who sat with you when you were sad, who played with you when you were happy. Maybe you've never had a cat of your own but have known neighbours' cats, or strays you've fed, or cats you've met in various ways throughout your life. Each cat is an individual with its own personality, its own preferences, its own way of being in the world. Yet each cat is also part of this long, long story, this ancient relationship between humans and cats that stretches back through the millennia. The cat sleeping in your home right now is a descendant of those first Near Eastern wild cats, carrying genes that have been passed down through hundreds of generations, shaped by natural selection and by the choices humans made about which cats to feed and shelter. There's something comforting about this continuity, isn't there? In a world that changes so rapidly, where technology transforms our lives every few years, where the future often feels uncertain and overwhelming, cats remain essentially themselves. They still hunt, still purr, still curl up in warm spots to sleep. They still walk with that distinctive feline grace, balancing on narrow surfaces, landing silently on soft paws. They still have that air of mystery, that sense of living partly in their own world, allowing us to share it, but never entirely belonging to us. Cats teach us about independence, about the value of doing things on your own terms, about the possibility of being both solitary and social, both wild and domestic. They teach us about patience, because you can't rush a cat or force it to do anything. You have to wait for the cat to come to you, to choose to engage with you. This teaches a valuable lesson about respect and boundaries, about accepting that other beings have their own wills and desires. Cats also teach us about living in the moment. When a cat is playing, it's completely absorbed in play. When it's sleeping, it's completely asleep, utterly relaxed. When it's sitting in a sunny spot, it's fully present. Eyes half closed, perhaps purring softly, simply experiencing the warmth on its fur. Cats don't worry about the future or regret the past. They exist in the eternal now, and there's something we can learn from that. As you drift deeper now towards sleep, imagine yourself as having some of that cat-like quality. You're here, in this moment, in your comfortable bed, with nowhere else you need to be. You're not worrying about tomorrow or replaying today. You're simply here, breathing, resting, allowing sleep to come naturally, without effort or force. Your body knows how to sleep, just as a cat's body knows how to curl up and rest. You don't have to do anything. Just let go. Let yourself relax completely. Let the weight of the day slide away. Imagine the quietness of a cat sleeping, that profound stillness, the slow rise and fall of breath, the complete surrender to rest. You can have that same quality of rest, that same depth of relaxation. Your muscles are soft, your breathing is slow and easy, your mind is quiet and calm. Any thoughts that arise just drift by like clouds, not demanding your attention, not pulling you away from this peaceful state. The history of cats is long and rich, full of stories and changes and remarkable continuity. But right now, in this moment, all of that can fade into the background. What matters is this: you're here, you're safe, you're comfortable, and sleep is near. The soft darkness, the gentle quiet, the gradual letting go of wakefulness. All of this is natural and easy. You're doing exactly what humans have done every night for thousands of years, the same thing cats do every day, simply resting, simply being, simply allowing sleep to arrive in its own time. Let me tell you about some famous people throughout history and their relationships with cats, because these stories reveal something about both the people and the cats. Cardinal Richelieu, the powerful French statesman who served King Louis XIII in the 17th century, was known for his love of cats. He kept numerous cats in his residence, and he made provisions in his will for their care after his death, setting aside funds to ensure they would be fed and looked after. Here was one of the most powerful men in France, deeply involved in political intrigue and warfare, yet he found comfort and joy in the company of cats. They provided a respite from the demands of power, a simple, uncomplicated relationship in a life filled with complexity. Florence Nightingale, the founder of modern nursing, had a cat named Mr. Bismarck who was her constant companion. She also cared for numerous other cats throughout her life. After her grueling experiences during the Crimean War, where she revolutionized sanitary practices in military hospitals and saved countless lives, Nightingale returned to England exhausted and ill. She spent much of her later life working from her home, writing reports and recommendations that would transform medical care. Her cats were with her through all of this, providing companionship during long hours of work and recovery. Winston Churchill, the British Prime Minister who led his country through World War II, had several cats during his lifetime. One of his favourites was an orange tabby named Jock, who sat with Churchill during meals and kept him company during his war years. Churchill once said, "I love cats because I enjoy my home, and little by little they become its visible soul." After Churchill's death, his family requested that there always be a marmalade cat named Jock residing at Chartwell, Churchill's country home. To this day, there is always a cat named Jock living there, a living memorial to Churchill's affection for cats. Ernest Hemingway, the American novelist, was famously devoted to cats. He was given a six-toed cat by a ship's captain, and he became fascinated by these polydactyl cats, who have a genetic mutation that gives them extra toes. Hemingway's home in Key West, Florida, now a museum, is still home to about 50 cats, many of them descendants of Hemingway's original cats, and about half of them carry the polydactyl gene. Visitors to the museum encounter cats everywhere, lounging on furniture, sleeping in gardens, wandering through rooms where Hemingway once wrote. These cats are a living connection to the writer, creatures whose ancestors knew him, who walked across his desk while he worked, who curled up near him while he read. Mark Twain, another great American writer, said, "If man could be crossed with the cat, it would improve man but deteriorate the cat." He had numerous cats throughout his life and gave them whimsical names like Apollinaris, Beelzebub, Blatherskite, Buffalo Bill, and Sour Mash. He talked to his cats, included them in family life, and clearly found great pleasure in their company. In his autobiography, he wrote warmly about various cats he had known, describing their personalities and peculiarities with the same attention to detail he brought to his human characters. Albert Einstein reportedly credited his cat with helping him develop his theories. He said that watching his cat taught him about patience and observation, about seeing things from different perspectives. Whether this is literally true or somewhat embellished, it reflects Einstein's known affection for cats and his recognition that profound insights can come from quiet observation of the natural world, even something as simple as watching a cat. Raymond Chandler, the mystery writer who created the detective Philip Marlowe, wrote his novels with his black Persian cat, Taki, sitting on his shoulder or nearby. When Taki died, Chandler was devastated. He wrote to a friend, "I shall never have another cat. I cannot bear to go through with that again." This from a man who wrote hard-boiled detective fiction, who created tough, cynical characters moving through dark urban landscapes. Yet the loss of his cat touched him deeply, revealing the tender heart beneath the tough exterior. These stories matter because they remind us that cats have been present in the private lives of people who shaped history. While these individuals were engaged in their public work, leading countries, fighting wars, creating literature, advancing science, their cats were there, providing comfort, companionship, and a connection to something simple and genuine. Cats don't care about your achievements or your status. They don't care if you're a cardinal or a prime minister or a Nobel Prize winner. They care whether you're kind to them, whether you provide food and warmth, whether you're someone they can trust. This leveling quality, this reminder of what's truly important, is part of cats' gift to us. Let me tell you about cats in art throughout history, because artists have been capturing cats in their work for thousands of years, and these images tell us how cats were perceived and valued. The ancient Egyptians, as we've discussed, depicted cats in paintings, sculptures, and hieroglyphics. But cats appear in art from many cultures and time periods, each representation revealing something about the relationship between humans and cats in that place and time. Medieval illuminated manuscripts sometimes include cats in the margins, small illustrations, alongside the text. These marginalia often show cats doing ordinary things, sleeping, hunting mice, playing with balls of yarn. One famous manuscript, created around 1320, shows a cat and mouse in the margins, with the cat chasing the mouse through the decorative borders across multiple pages. These playful images suggest that monks, who spent long hours copying manuscripts, were entertained by the cats in the monastery and included them in their work as a kind of gentle amusement. There's also a touching note, written in Old Irish in the margin of a manuscript from the 9th century, where a monk comments on his cat. "Pangurban and I are each at his task, hunting. His mind is on hunting mice. My mind is on my special craft." The monk then describes how both he and the cat derive satisfaction from their respective pursuits, suggesting a companionable parallel between intellectual work and hunting, between human and feline dedication to their crafts. Renaissance artists began including cats more frequently in paintings. Leonardo da Vinci, as mentioned, made numerous sketches of cats, studying their anatomy and movement with his characteristic precision. These weren't studies for major paintings, but explorations for their own sake, suggesting that Leonardo found cats inherently interesting subjects, worth understanding and capturing on paper. Japanese artists, particularly during the Edo period, 1603 to 1867, created many works featuring cats. Woodblock prints by Utagawa Kuniyoshi show cats in various situations, dressed in human clothing, engaging in human activities, or simply being cats, grooming, stretching, sleeping. These prints are often whimsical and affectionate, showing cats as sources of entertainment and delight. The attention to detail in these prints, the careful observation of how cats move and sit and express emotion through their body language demonstrates the artist's familiarity with and fondness for their subjects. In Western art, cats became more prominent from the 19th century onward. The French artist Théophile Steinlen created numerous posters, prints, and paintings featuring cats. His most famous work is probably the poster for Le Chat Noir, a Parisian cabaret showing a black cat with an arched back and upright tail. This image became iconic, representing the bohemian atmosphere of late 19th century Paris. Steinlen also published a book of cat illustrations, Des Chats, showing cats in various poses and situations, all rendered with clear affection and close observation. Pierre-Auguste Renoir included cats in several paintings, showing them as part of domestic scenes, held by children or sitting on laps. These cats are integrated naturally into family life, unremarkable, but also essential to the warmth and completeness of the scene. Henri Matisse's paintings sometimes include cats, simplified and stylized, but recognizably feline. The Swiss artist Balthus featured cats prominently in many of his paintings, often giving them an enigmatic, almost mystical quality. In the 20th and 21st centuries, cats have appeared in every conceivable artistic medium: painting, sculpture, photography, film, animation, digital art. Artists like Louis Wain created fantastical, anthropomorphized cats with large eyes and bright patterns. His work, created in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, shows cats engaged in human activities, playing golf, going to parties, attending concerts. Wain suffered from mental illness later in life, and his later cat paintings became increasingly abstract and psychedelic, though debate continues about whether these changes reflected his mental state or simply artistic evolution. Contemporary artists continue to find inspiration in cats. The photographer Walter Chandahar, who died in 2019, spent over 70 years photographing cats, creating an archive of over 90,000 images. His work helped establish cats as subjects worthy of serious artistic attention. The Japanese photographer Mitsuaki Iwago has traveled the world documenting cats in their various environments, from the streets of Istanbul to the islands of Japan to the villages of Africa, showing how cats adapt to different climates and cultures while remaining essentially themselves. Street art and graffiti often feature cats. The British street artist known as My Dog Size paints cats, despite his name, on discarded items like tin cans, giving them new life and meaning. These found object artworks, featuring cats with soulful eyes, appear in unexpected places, creating moments of beauty and connection in urban environments. All of this artistic attention reflects cats' importance in human culture. We create images of cats because we find them beautiful, interesting, meaningful. We want to capture their grace, their mystery, their personality. We want to preserve our feelings about cats, to share them with others, to make them part of the cultural conversation. Art featuring cats is a form of appreciation, a recognition that these creatures matter to us, that they're worthy of attention and celebration. Let me tell you about cats in literature beyond what we've already discussed, because writers have been writing about cats for centuries, and these literary cats reveal different facets of the human-cat relationship. In T.S. Eliot's Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats, published in 1939, each poem describes a different cat character. Macavity the mystery cat, who's never there when his crimes are discovered. Rum Tum Tugger, who's always contrary. Old Deuteronomy, wise and venerable. and many others. These poems are playful and affectionate, capturing the variety of cat personalities. They were later adapted into the musical Cats, which became one of the longest-running shows in theatre history, introducing these cat characters to millions of people. Rudyard Kipling's Just So stories includes The Cat That Walked by Himself, a tale explaining how cats came to live with humans but retained their independence. In the story, all the other animals make bargains with humans, exchanging their freedom for food and shelter. The cat, however, makes a different deal, agreeing to catch mice and entertain the baby, but insisting on coming and going as he pleases. "I am the cat who walks by himself, and all places are alike to me," he says. This story, written in 1902, captures something essential about cats. They're with us but not entirely of us, companions but not subordinates. Edgar Allan Poe's short story, The Black Cat, takes a darker view, using a cat as a symbol of guilt and psychological horror. The narrator, descending into madness and violence, is haunted by the cat he has abused and killed. The story plays on superstitions about black cats and explores themes of guilt, conscience, and the impossibility of escaping one's crimes. It's a disturbing story, but it demonstrates the power cats have in our imaginations, their ability to serve as symbols of various human concerns. In more recent literature, cats appear in countless ways. In Haruki Murakami's novels, cats often play mysterious roles, appearing and disappearing, speaking or not speaking, serving as guides or puzzles. In Kafka on the Shore, the character Nakata can speak with cats and helps find lost cats, connecting the mundane reality of lost pets with the novel's surreal, dreamlike atmosphere. Murakami's cats exist on the boundary between the ordinary and the extraordinary, much like cats themselves seem to occupy a space between the domestic and the wild, the known and the mysterious. The children's book series Warriors by Erin Hunter, which began in 2003, features clans of feral cats living in the wild with their own society, customs and adventures. These books have been enormously popular, selling millions of copies worldwide. They appeal to something in young readers, this image of cats as independent, brave, living by their own rules in the wild. The fact that these books are about cats rather than dogs or horses or other animals suggests something about cats' particular appeal, their association with independence and wildness even in domestic contexts. In mysteries and detective fiction, cats often appear as companions to the detectives or as characters in their own right. Lillian Jackson Braun's The Cat Who series features a journalist and his two Siamese cats who help solve mysteries. Rita Mae Brown's Mrs. Murphy Mysteries feature a cat who solves crimes alongside her owner. These cat detective books are a subgenre unto themselves, popular enough to support numerous authors and long-running series. They tap into the idea that cats are observant, that they notice things humans miss, that their different perspective on the world might reveal truths that escape us. Science fiction has its share of memorable cats as well. In Robert Heinlein's The Door into Summer, the protagonist's cat plays a significant role in the time travel plot. In Ursula K. Le Guin's story, Schrödinger's Cat, she uses the famous thought experiment as a starting point for exploring themes of reality, observation, and existence. Cats' association with mystery and their liminal nature, neither entirely wild nor entirely tame, makes them suitable subjects for speculative fiction that explores the boundaries of reality. All of these literary cats, from Eliot's whimsical characters to Poe's sinister symbol, to Murakami's enigmatic guides, show the many roles cats play in human imagination. They can be funny or frightening, helpful or mysterious, ordinary or magical. They're versatile symbols capable of representing many different things: independence, femininity, mystery, domesticity, wildness, grace, unpredictability. Writers use cats because readers understand them, have relationships with them, bring their own experiences and feelings to the reading of any cat character. Let me tell you about the language we use to talk about cats, because cats have given us numerous words and phrases that have become part of everyday speech. The word cat itself comes from the Latin catus, which appeared in the 4th century CE. Before that, Latin speakers used feels, but catus gradually replaced it, and it's the root of the word for cat in many European languages: chat in French, gatto in Italian, gatto in Spanish and Portuguese, Katze in German, cat in Dutch, and so on. The word kitten comes from Old French chitoun, meaning little cat. Tomcat for a male cat comes from a book published in 1760 called The Life and Adventures of a Cat, featuring a character named Tom the Cat. The book was popular enough that tomcat became the common term for male cats. Queen for a female cat is used primarily in breeding contexts and comes from the Old English word quen, meaning woman or female. Tabby for a striped cat comes from a type of silk called atabi, which was imported from a district in Baghdad and had a striped pattern. The silk's striped appearance reminded people of striped cats, and eventually tabby came to mean the cats themselves rather than the fabric. Calico cats, with their patches of different colours, are named after calico cloth, which also features patches of different colours. Cats have given us many idioms and expressions. Curiosity killed the cat warns against being too inquisitive, playing on cats' reputation for getting into places they shouldn't. Let the cat out of the bag means to reveal a secret, possibly originating from a scam where someone would sell a pig in a bag but actually give the buyer a less valuable cat. Cat got your tongue? Asks why someone is silent. Cat's pajamas or cat's meow mean something excellent. Phrases that originated in the 1920s during the flapper era, when animal-related slang was popular. Scaredy cat means someone easily frightened, though cats aren't actually particularly timid. They're cautious, which is different from being fearful. Copycat means someone who imitates others, though the connection to cats is unclear. Catty means spiteful or malicious, particularly in the context of social relationships, a usage that seems unfair to cats, who don't engage in social manipulation the way humans do. Cat burglar refers to a thief who breaks into buildings by climbing, like a cat climbing trees or walls. Catnap is a short, light sleep, referencing cats' tendency to sleep in brief bursts throughout the day and night. Cat and mouse game describes a pursuit where one party toys with the other before capturing them, based on how cats sometimes play with prey before killing it. Catwalk is a narrow walkway, like the narrow surfaces cats can balance on. It's used in construction and also in fashion, where models walk on a narrow runway. Cat's cradle is a string game, though why it's called that is unclear. Cat o' nine tails was a whip used for punishment, with 9 knotted cords resembling a cat's claws. Catgut for strings on musical instruments isn't actually made from cats, but from sheep or goat intestines, though the origin of the name is debated. All of these words and phrases show how thoroughly cats are woven into our language and thought. We use cats as metaphors and comparisons, as examples and warnings. The language itself carries traces of our long relationship with cats, preserving observations about their behavior, attitudes about their nature, and the various roles they've played in human society. Let me tell you about regional and cultural variations in how cats are viewed around the world, because while cats are found almost everywhere humans live, different cultures have developed different traditions and beliefs about them. In Thailand, Siamese cats were once considered sacred and were kept in temples and royal households. There's a traditional belief that these cats would receive the souls of departed family members and should be treated with great respect. Thai culture also has traditions about which coloured cats bring good luck or bad luck, with some colours being especially prized. In Turkey, cats are deeply integrated into urban life, particularly in Istanbul. The city is famous for its street cats, who are fed and cared for by the community. Many shops and mosques have resident cats who come and go freely. The cats are seen as part of the community, and feeding street cats is considered a good deed. There's even a documentary called Kedi about Istanbul's street cats and their relationships with the city's human residents. This communal approach to cat care reflects a culture that values compassion toward animals and sees cats as shared responsibilities rather than individual property. In Celtic folklore, cats were associated with the fairy realm and were sometimes viewed with suspicion or fear. There are stories of cat sea, fairy cats that could steal a person's soul. These beliefs may reflect the way cats sometimes seem otherworldly, moving silently, appearing and disappearing, their eyes glowing in darkness. Despite these superstitions, or perhaps because of them, cats held a significant place in Celtic imagination. In Norse mythology, the goddess Freyja, associated with love, beauty, and fertility, rode a chariot pulled by two large cats. These weren't ordinary domestic cats, but large, powerful animals, possibly resembling Norwegian forest cats, a large, long-haired breed native to Scandinavia. Freyja's association with cats was positive, linking them with femininity, magic, and divine power. This is quite different from the demonic associations cats acquired in medieval Christian Europe. In India, cats have a more marginal status than in some other cultures. Hinduism tends to emphasize other animals like cows, sacred, elephants, associated with Ganesha, monkeys, associated with Hanuman, and snakes, associated with Shiva. Cats appear less frequently in Hindu mythology and religious practice. However, they're still present in Indian life, particularly in urban areas, and attitudes vary widely depending on region, religion, and individual preference. In parts of Latin America, there are folk beliefs about cats and witchcraft, sometimes viewing cats suspiciously, particularly black cats. These beliefs are likely derived from Spanish colonial influences, carrying over medieval European superstitions. However, contemporary attitudes in Latin America are diverse, and many people keep and love cats without any supernatural associations. In Australia, cats are viewed with mixed feelings. On one hand, they're popular pets, kept and loved by millions of Australians. On the other hand, feral cats are considered a serious threat to native wildlife. Australia's native mammals, birds and reptiles evolved without feline predators and are particularly vulnerable to cat predation. Conservation efforts sometimes include culling feral cat populations to protect endangered species. This creates a complicated situation where domestic cats are cherished while feral cats are considered pests, a distinction that raises ethical and practical challenges. These regional variations remind us that while cats are nearly universal, Human relationships with cats are shaped by specific cultural histories, ecological contexts, and belief systems. The same animal can be sacred in one culture, suspicious in another, and a practical working animal in a third. Understanding these variations helps us appreciate both the universality of the human-cat bond and the specific ways different cultures have interpreted and valued cats. Let me tell you about some specific historical cats whose stories have been preserved, individual animals who lived long ago but whose names and deeds we still know. Muezza, the cat said to belong to the Prophet Muhammad, appears in Islamic tradition as an example of how animals should be treated with kindness and respect. The story of Muhammad cutting off his sleeve, rather than disturbing Muezza, has been told for centuries, shaping attitudes toward cats in Islamic cultures. Whether Muezza actually existed or is more legend than history, the story's persistence shows how individual cats can take on symbolic importance. Hodge was the cat of Samuel Johnson, the famous 18th century English writer and dictionary compiler. Johnson was devoted to Hodge, and his biographer James Boswell recorded Johnson's affection for his cat. Johnson would personally go out to buy oysters for Hodge, not wanting to trouble his servants with this task and risk them resenting the cat. When Hodge died, Johnson said, "I have had cats whom I liked better than this, but he is a very fine cat, a very fine cat indeed." There's now a bronze statue of Hodge outside Johnson's house in London, depicting him sitting beside a couple of oyster shells, commemorating both the cat and Johnson's devotion to him. Trim was the ship's cat on Matthew Flinders' expeditions to Australia in the early 19th century. Flinders, a British naval officer and navigator, chronicled Trim's adventures in a biographical tribute after the cat's death. Trim circumnavigated Australia, survived a shipwreck, and lived with Flinders during a long imprisonment by the French in Mauritius. Flinders wrote that Trim had more good qualities than I have yet seen in any other cat. There's a statue of Trim on a window ledge outside the State Library of New South Wales in Sydney, shown in a climbing position, commemorating this well-travelled cat. Mrs. Chippy was the ship's cat on Ernest Shackleton's Imperial Transantarctic Expedition of 1914 to 1917. Despite the name, Mrs. Chippy was male, belonging to the ship's carpenter Harry McNeish, nicknamed Chippy. When the expedition's ship, Endurance, became trapped and eventually crushed by ice, the crew was forced to camp on the ice and eventually make a perilous journey to safety. Shackleton ordered several animals killed, including Mrs. Chippy, believing they couldn't survive the harsh conditions and would consume precious resources. McNeish was devastated and never forgave Shackleton. Many years later, when McNeish died and was buried in Wellington, New Zealand, a bronze statue of Mrs. Chippy was placed on his gravestone, reuniting the carpenter and his beloved cat, at least in memorial. Simon was a ship's cat serving on the Royal Navy sloop HMS Amethyst in 1949, when the ship came under fire during the Chinese Civil War. Simon was injured but survived, and he continued his duties during the ship's 101-day ordeal trapped on the Yangtze River. He maintained morale among the crew and continued to hunt rats despite his injuries. After the ship escaped, Simon was awarded the Dickin Medal, the highest award for animal gallantry, the only cat to receive this honour. Sadly, Simon died shortly after returning to Britain. Unable to recover from his injuries and the stress of quarantine, he was buried with full naval honours. These, Individual stories matter because they remind us that behind the general history of cats are countless individual lives, specific cats who lived and died, who had relationships with specific humans, who did remarkable or ordinary things. Each cat in history was an individual, experiencing the world from its own feline perspective, making its own choices within the constraints of its circumstances. When we remember these named cats from history, we're honouring that individuality, recognising that each life, even a cat's life, has its own significance. Now, as you continue to rest here, let your mind drift through all these stories like a cat wandering through rooms, moving from one space to another, not in any hurry, just exploring, just being. You don't have to hold on to any particular story or fact. They're all here in the background, a soft murmur of history and connection, thousands of years of humans and cats sharing the world. Think about the texture of these stories, the way they overlap and interconnect. Ancient Egypt flows into medieval Europe, flows into modern internet culture, each period building on what came before, each adding something new while keeping something old. Cats witnessing it all, adapting, surviving, maintaining their essential nature, while the world around them transforms completely. There's something deeply peaceful about this long view of history, isn't there? Your worries and concerns, the stresses of your daily life, they're real and valid. But they're also part of this much larger flow of time. Humans have been worrying and stressing for thousands of years, and through it all cats have been there, sleeping in sunny spots, purring in laps, hunting in the evening, living their lives with a simplicity and presence we can learn from. Imagine a cat from ancient Egypt, sleeping in the shade of a date palm, the Nile River flowing nearby. Now imagine a cat in medieval Europe, curled up by a monastery fire, the monk at his desk copying manuscripts by candlelight. Now imagine a cat in Victorian London, sitting in a window watching gaslights being lit in the street. Now imagine a cat today, in an apartment somewhere, curled up on a soft blanket, perfectly content. Same basic needs, same basic nature, same capacity for simple contentment across thousands of years. You can have some of that contentment right now. You don't need to solve everything or understand everything or accomplish everything. You can just be here, just rest, just breathe. The long history of cats teaches us that life continues, that simple pleasures endure, that it's possible to be content in the present moment without needing to control or worry about past or future. Let yourself sink deeper now into that state of pure rest, that cat-like contentment. Your body is supported, warm, comfortable. Your breath is slow and easy. Your mind is quiet, thoughts drifting by without catching, without pulling you away from this peaceful state. You're exactly where you need to be, doing exactly what you need to do, which is nothing at all except allowing yourself to rest. The stories will always be there if you want them. The history of cats, stretching back through the millennia, filled with individual lives and larger patterns, with moments of drama and long stretches of peaceful ordinariness. But right now, you don't need stories, you just need rest. Sleep is close now, waiting patiently like a cat waiting for you to open the door, ready to welcome you in. So let go completely now. Let the weight of history lift away. Let all the words and images and ideas dissolve into peaceful darkness. Let yourself drift, float, fall gently into sleep. There's nothing to hold on to, nothing to figure out, nothing to remember. Just this gentle descent into rest, into dreams, into the quiet darkness where your body and mind can restore themselves. Sleep deeply, my friend. Sleep peacefully. Let the night hold you safely, and may you wake tomorrow feeling refreshed, carrying with you perhaps just a trace of all these cat stories, a subtle reminder of the long companionship between humans and cats, the ancient bond that continues in every home where a cat sleeps peacefully, content in its place in the world. Rest now. Sleep now. Dream of cats if you will, or of nothing at all. Either way, sleep will restore you, prepare you for tomorrow, give you what you need. Trust in that. Let go into that. Sleep. Good night.